Hi, welcome to my channel if it's your first time. Today we're going to talk about my four-step process for self-healing. So why would you want self-healing? Is it because today you're just curious? Maybe you're doing some research? Or maybe you're actually going through a time where your life situations are a bit hard, they're a bit difficult, and maybe you need some support. So you're at the right place. My name is Elijah. I work with our allies in the subtle to bring the new human into reality. So what do I mean by the new human? I mean the new humanity. A new earth is arriving, is available to us. Humans are always in evolution. Humans are consciousness, and consciousness is always in evolution. And now is the time for us all to embrace a whole new level of being conscious. So it's my pleasure to bring you today a little bit of information to help you being more whole, more happy, more connected, more empowered, with less stress impact internally, so you may have an outer life that freaking rocks. Yeah? Okay. So, my four steps in this process for self-healing, it starts with the first one, identification. So, identification, what I mean by that is, well, what's going on? You're on this channel, or you're going through all of these things in your life. You are researching for information because something's not working out. So the first thing is to figure out what exactly is not working out. Sometimes things are really apparent, very easy to catch, to capture, to realize. But sometimes what really helps, what I found that helps me and helps my clients and my peers, is to start paying attention. The world of self-healing is about self-knowledge, for then self-love, acceptance in a big, massive way. And so to start doing that, we need to observe. We need to become more and more curious and observant in a neutral way, to observe and see and identify, to go, huh, 3 times this week somebody said this to me. Huh, my last 4 relationships always had that flavor. Huh, I always end up in the same financial situation. So to observe the repetition of certain things that create patterns that show us that in the cyclical being that we are, that, is part of this spiraling life expansion and contraction, there are things that come back. And when they come back, it's because they are part of us. They're in our field. They're in our psyche. They're in our subconscious. And they're not going to go away until it's resolved, until it's moved on to the next cycle. And life will provide experiences for us to move through the cycles and to go beyond the blockages. So sometimes when life is not going so fluidly, it's because there's a blockage. It's because there's a lesson in there. There's something missing. There's something in our blind spot that we're not seeing that just keeps repeating. So the first step in the process for self-healing is identification. Huh, I think there's an issue. Huh, I think there's a pattern. All right. Second step of the process is deepening. Deepening. All right, I've observed there's a pattern. Well, now in the second step of deepening, we need to increase our level of curiosity. So we have found an object to observe, an object as in a situation or a character trait of my own or a repetitive behavior or whatever. There's an object to observe, a situation to observe, and I'm going to start asking questions. And here you're like, well, who am I asking questions to? The thing is that you're asking questions to yourself. And we have this belief that I'm one being, I have this one head and these one thoughts. But really, there are many, I like to call them fragments or vibrations, aspects of us. There are many, many different aspects of us that are co created from moment to moment to moment to moment to moment to moment. And actually, these patterns that you're observing, it's parts of you that are a bit more this and less that are repeating the thing. And so the practice of deepening is learning to turn on the inner observer who is deeply neutral. It doesn't judge, it just receives information. The least judgy we are, the more information we're going to get. And if it's in our blind spot, it's probably because there are things we don't want to see. So if we want to see them, we have to really open our hearts. So as we become the observer, who's in an open space of heartedness, to welcome everything, all the information that you're going to receive about your hurts, about your shadow, about the difficult aspects, the pain, you know, you're going to be open to receive information about that. And you're not yet doing anything about it, right? So you're asking and receiving information. So you're turning into the observer who's going to ask, and then you're going to stay still internally and just listen. Listen to any signs that pop up: a physical twitch, an emotional reaction, a memory pops up, a voice tickles, whispers words into your ear, tickles words into your ear, tickles sensations, intuitions into you. And as you're observing and listening, you get that information. Okay, you just received information. Oh, okay, I'm always in this situation because my father was always doing this, or because at that age and that age and that age, these three things happen, and it created, I started believing that life was this way, and there's a part of me that is secured in that belief. However, that belief was that situation was temporary, and the belief isn't eternal, isn't based from an eternal fact. Life changes, situation changes, you change, the people you're in a relationship with change, and so our conclusions that we've made in the past to stay safe or to stay the best or whatever might not, they can't stay forever. And it's those rigidity of these patterns that makes us stay in the recurring situation. So as I saw the situation, I identified. Step two, I deepened. So I asked a question: why am I there? Why am I doing this again? Oh, and if you got an information, maybe that information was a step deeper, but not everything. You need to know more. And so then you go through step two multiple times until you feel like you're done asking questions and deepening and asking question and deepening and asking question and deepening. Just keep being curious. Don't be satisfied with the first answer, right? Keep digging until there's a big aha or a release. Maybe going within is going to make you cry. Maybe going within is going to make you angry. And so here is step three into this four-step process of learning the art of self-care, self-healing. We've identified and we've deepened. We've asked questions and we have gathered information. So now step three is processing in action, like a call to action for the self. And don't get me wrong, it doesn't have to be action in the outer world, in out there. It's definitely an action within to begin with, because once you've done that within, the vortex, the torus of manifestation that you are as a powerful new human, so strong and responsible of its creative powers, the internal process is going to impact in the outer world, regardless. You might need to do steps in the outer world, but you have to start within. So let me give you an example. I'm distracted by my puppy, who's distracted by a sound. But I am with you. An example of an action that I would do from information I would receive. So, for example, one recurring thing that I go through is this sense of I have all these projects and I would love to have partners, more and more partners. I already have partners for some projects, but it's like I want more. There's bigger projects and I want support. But I go through in these loops. I have a pattern of, should I want partnership? Should I not want partnership? Oh, I should do it all by myself. I should be able to do it all by myself. I'm a big boy. Huh? I'm a big boy. I should be able to do it by myself. Oh no. Right. Certain things, I actually don't know how to do this. And having somebody who knows how to do this aspect would be so much better. And so I get caught in this loop because, and so when I go ask, why do I get caught in this loop of confusion? I go and feel the emotion of like, but I don't want to do it by myself. And then I feel the mental higher power who's like, I can do anything. And then I get, back and forth and back and forth. So I've identified that. And I've identified the different voices and the different feelings from it. The voice of vulnerability and victimhood. And then there's a bit of, what's the other guy? Bourreau in French, but the guy who's a bit, hard. Da, 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 da. You get it done. It's possible. Who's very mental and like a false image that I project of who I should be, right? So when I see and identify these two polarities, right now there's like these two characters within me. There might be more, of course, but let's say this is sufficient, these two. So now my call to action, now that I've deepened, is a couple of things. One is to make sure that I center, do my own unification practices that I've developed for myself and that I love to share, that I'll share with you at some point, or come and get a session with me, we'll do that together. My unification process, first of all, to be able to hold all of it and to really go deeper and ask my victim self, my vulnerable self, what's going on? And when I go in there, I get into its world, and I go into my childhood, and I go into my babyhood, and the moments where I was confused because no one was around, and it seems like people expecting me to know how to do stuff like changing my diaper or taking care of my mom, right? There was a lot of situations like this as a kid that I'm still healing. I'm still going through. It was deep, so I have to go there again and again and again and again and again. So my call to action for myself is to, one, go within and hold that part of me and engage in a conversation with it. There's a lot of wind. I want to make sure you hear me. And I engage a conversation with, let's call it my inner child, who has had multiple experiences teaching it this confusion. And so I hold it. I become my inner parent who loves it and listens to its needs, listens to its sensations, its beliefs, what it's made of, the texture, the emotional texture, the memory texture. And as I do this, I hold myself as the great creator of my own life. And I remind it that it was a temporary moment. I reminded that all of this was for a great, amazing purpose, that I'm actually quite self-sufficient. I'm actually quite autonomous. I'm actually able to be very aware of a lot of things thanks to these situations. The pain behind it, now that I'm an adult who's capable to hold all of this, now it's my job, it's my work to go and dissolve the false beliefs that I made, that I concluded that I'm confused, right? That's just a defense mechanism to some degree that I don't have to hold anymore. Now I can transform that. So that's one of the call to actions in this situation, right? I sense this polarity within me of these two characters. I went to see the inner child beliefs. I did some, personal limitation, personal belief. I transformed them. I am part of a community that is thriving. I give and I receive from my community. I am in collaboration. I create mantras or affirmations that support me. And I don't just do it in my head, I generate internally the emotions of support. I go into my memory or I create it, and I create internally. I am held. I am guided. The right people come at the right place at the right time for me to create those collaborations. And so this is my call to action, right? communicate directly to my subconscious saying, hey, buddy, thank you so much for helping me see that this is what we've been holding, this old belief. And thank you now for transforming it into this specific direction, right? So the call to action is to, after having identified, we do a little process to see, well, what's the need underneath and how can I take care of it from a powerful, 100% responsible creator way. That's the new human. The new human is 100% responsible for its creations. You know, like my hair that goes on the side there. I'm 100% responsible for not having put gel in it. Step 4 of this process, of this 4-step process to self-healing, we've identified, right? We've deepened, we've created a call to action to move something internally. And 4, I'm distracted because, like I said, what you did it within is going to act outside. But you might also need to do something outside. You'll know, you'll see. Maybe you need to communicate with someone that you've just found a new boundary that you need to anchor from love with them. Maybe you can't have received their call on Sunday past 7. Maybe you're too tired, and that's okay. And you figured it out. You're not annoyed at them anymore. You realized you could empower yourself by setting a boundary, for example. So that's an action in the outer world resulting from your inner process. Okay, so that's still step 3 process, but step 4 is integration, is accepting that you've had to go through all this process, accepting that there's probably more of this process to keep happening, and just being in the empowerment that you went through this whole process. You moved energy, you moved emotion, you got deeper within you, dug out some gorgeous pieces that were so ugly and stinky at first, but now that you've put your love and care and attention, they look so luminous. What was a cause of suffering before might be a cause for empowerment now. And so you go deep into that knowledge, you accept it, you accept who you've become now, and you practice letting go the old belief. You catch yourself within the next days, hours, weeks, months, years, whenever the old stuff comes back, whenever the pattern is here. You've now gained a tool in the spiral of evolution to catch yourself and go through the identification process, the deepening process, and the call to action process much more quickly, right? So you accept that you've gone through this whole process and you empower yourself, standing in the new you, who is standing powerfully for your new life to come through, leaving the old behind. Leaving the old human behind who would blame the others, who would believe limiting beliefs about themselves, like they couldn't move forward or go deeper within to unlock something. You release all of these and you find a deep sense of self-love from that. It's like you just fed yourself, right? You fed yourself your own energy. We're like these generators of energy, and we're like always giving it to everybody, everything, the job, the boss, the relationship, the dog, the government, the system, whatever. There's all these energy that we give. And we're expected to just keep generating this without taking the time to recharge. And so when you do this process of self-healing, it is a deep recharging of your making space for your own essence to be within you. When we carry this old stuff, we don't have room for all of who we are today. It's like hoarding, having all of these things in the house that don't allow for us to feel spacious, for light to come through and hit all of the spaces in the house, that we can dust easily. So we want a house for our consciousness and our essence that is spacious. I feel like it looks like I got boobs, but I don't really have boobs. It's an illusion. I'm just a ray of blue light. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope this made sense. I hope I didn't miss any key points. And if you have any questions, you can write in the comments or write to me. I'd always be happy to have a direct contact. I find that that's the most powerful. Thank you so much. Such a pleasure to be here with you. I love you. See you soon. Remember that you can subscribe, you can like, you can comment. That really helps me. And especially what my I want, what does it help me is because it helps me being seen by others who might need this information. And that's really what we want. So feel free to stay connected and keep sharing. I look forward to entering a deeper relationship with us. Pew pew.